I don't have a copy of that here, Mom, but on the front page, who is that on the front page there? Can you see it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I didn't see it. Good.
So that's Eddie.
Yeah.
There's his dates.
Mm-hmm.
And that's his wife, who died in 46. Oh, that's when they were married.
Yeah.
They married. So she's still alive.
Yeah, I figured she was.
Yeah. And then a bunch of Fulbrights and farmers, and there's a Joseph Woodstock down here.
Oh. I'll be darned.
1895.
Died or?
That's when he was born.
Oh.
Died in 1964.
Okay, 95, okay. I thought he was...
There's another Viola Louder.
Yeah. That might have been Uncle Lee's wife.
No,
I mean, yeah.
Uncle Lee, I think I got figured out back here. I'll leave this with you. I got another copy.
Okay.
Here's the interesting page. This is Lee.
Okay. In 1907 to 1990. So, well, that was 90 years.
And there's his wife, Viola Mabel Bruner.
Right. And she died in 1983, so see. Okay. And John Bruner, 1882.
Now, who's John Bruner?
That's my grandpa.
No, I thought your grandpa was Alan.
I think is there well, it must be.
Let me see here. There was a Florence M. Bruner and John Allen Bruner. So it's John Allen Bruner?
John Allen, yeah.
82 to 1967?
Mm-hmm. No,
Yeah.
his wife was June 1882 that he was born. She was born.
Mm-hmm.
And Woodcock, 1860. And his wife was Amanda.
Right, Amanda M. Woodcock, 1858 to 1943. And then Harm, your grandpa, was 1860.
Right. There's some more Woodcocks.
Yeah, as you're looking at that list, Mom, see if we can figure this out. Your grandfather and grandmother, John Bruner and Flossie, had 10 grandkids. Right?
What?
They had 10 grandkids, you told me.
I thought it was 10 kids.
10 kids, you're right.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, who knows how many grandkids. Allie, or Alice, we figure is the oldest, was born in 1901.
Mm-hmm.
Then your mother was born in...
No, I thought it's 1902.
1902 for Alice?
Yeah, and 1903 for Mama.
Yep, because we got that off the gravesite.
Okay.
Eddie we've got on there, let me see.
Yeah,
Okay.
we saw
Eddie was born in 1924.
And I was 1926.
And Leona must have been just a little bit before that, 21 or so.
Yeah.
And then Lee was born in 07.
Okay.
So we have Albert, Claude, Claudia, and Mary born somewhere between, somewhere in there.
Mm-hmm.
And one we haven't counted for that might have died as a...
Yeah, I don't know who that one was. And Ellen might know.
Well, there's nothing in the none of the names there. I mean, you would think if they were born in Sleeper, of course, your grandparents, you know, didn't necessarily live in Sleeper when they were having all the on all their kids, right?
Yeah, I don't. I can remember. I think when they got back from living in California, we went to visit them, and I think that's before they got a. What am I trying to say? Because I know we visited them down in Missouri, and it was a different place than when Grandpa had his what do you call it? Homestead. And anyway, Grandpa and great-grandpa and Woodcock and his wife were there. I mean, we had a fire going out the side, and they were telling ghost stories. And I think Leon and they had a Packard. I think we slept in the car. So I don't know where everybody was.
With that many kids.
Yeah, quite young.
Yeah.
But anyway, I guess we started walking somewhere and we got scared. I guess because of all the ghost stories.
Mm-hmm.
That was, I will always remember that Packard.
And that was in California?
No, that was in Missouri.
Oh, okay.
That must have been when they came back from living in. But anyway, they went there to make money. But boy, we didn't starve. I tell you, Grandpa could grow anything there, and everything, and he had chickens and they had pigs and they had 2 mules. One was a mule and the other one was something else, but a burro.
Yeah, I'm glad we moved when we did because, 65 when we saw him, and he died in 67.
Yeah.
Didn't realize it was that close.
Right.
And how old was he?
Well, he was born.
He had to be 85.
Well, that's what I thought.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think Mama thought he was that old, but I was going by me. I was born on his birthday, and so I think he was 55 when I was 9 or something like that.
That's right. He was born March 9th, 1882. Yeah, he was 85 when he died.
Mm-hmm.
He died the same day Dad did.
Right.
20 years earlier.
Mm-hmm. So, anyway,
so you pretty much think that your mother was born in Missouri.
I'm pretty sure she was. Yeah.
Okay.
I wish I'd.
Leona may know. Of course, Leona. She wasn't born until 21, so 20 years younger than your mother.
Right.
But she might remember the chronology of it.
Yeah, I think I asked her, and she wasn't too sure. So, but she must have.
Well, there may be some records somewhere
in
Cleve County or whatever it is.
Right.
There might be able to say.
I think. Well, she went to work. I think when she was 14, and then I think she was 17. I think when she married Dad. I think. So.
That would have been in Missouri if they were married.
Yeah.
My daughter wants to hear about your wedding.
My what?
Your wedding.
Oh, we eloped. We went on the train. Of course, we were both had been working on the railroad at the roundhouse, and so we went on the train up there, and we stayed with Larry's brother Norman.
Where was that?
It's up in Washington, Olympia.
Okay, so that's why you were married in Olympia.
Yeah.
Because Norman was there.
Yeah, and we went up there and stayed with them, and then
It was Norman and Beth.
they were married,
Mm-hmm.
and so anyway, and after we got married, well, we stayed there a few days. That we had to wait 3 days, to get married, and anyway, we were only both 18. So a gal said she did a little something to him with his license. Made him be older. Made him be 21.
So you had to be 21 to marry you in Washington?
Well, so anyway, we got married, but we had to wait 3 days, so we got married. And then we had taken, his mother insisted we take Roma Joy.
How old was Roma at that time?
5 or 6.
Okay.
And
So his mother knew you were going to go there to get married? Or she knew you were going to go there?
they knew we were going up there.
Oh, okay.
And Guy knew, because we told him.
Mm-hmm.
And so anyways, we went, and while we were up there, they gave her a cat, and on
Norman gave her a cat?
or Beth's mother,
Mm-hmm.
but she was there too. And anyway, we had to kind of hide them on the on the train, and then we got off at West Fur, where Mom and Dad were, and so we went. And anyway, I guess we called her mother, his mother. She came over, and oh, you guys aren't married. You'll have to show me the marriage license. So we showed her. But she wasn't that in tune to us because Guy had gone, her husband, had gone up the mountain and ruined her car, wrecked her car.
So she was more concerned about the car than
Yeah, so we were, that was good for us.
So they were living in Oak Ridge at the time?
Yeah. When he was younger, they were living in Westford.
Mm-hmm.
And
Were they living on that hill near where we lived?
no, where the grade school was.
Mm-hmm.
It was down close to there.
Okay.
And
Well, I know where Guy lived later on Commercial Street. That was near the school.
yeah,
Is that where?
that was the same place.
Okay.
And of course, when we were living down in Willamette City, and when we lived up at Camp 3, up above Oak Ridge, we were there about a year, I think, before Dad bought a place down in the valley. And anyway, while we were living there, he built another house to rent. And it was 4 acres. And but we had to go down the hill, and then it went down and then around, and we caught the bus on it would be 58, and so anyway, Audrey and I got to talking about, because she lived right close to me up there on that hill, and we would go right up when we weren't in school, up on that mountain, and pick flowers, and then we'd go over down farther, and where there were caves. I mean, we walked all over those hills or mountains, and we just had a great time. Nobody worried about us.
Mm-hmm.
Golly, now,
Well, maybe not in Oak Ridge, though.
no, maybe not.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, it was a great place
Mm-hmm.
to live, and of course, when we played volleyball, we were on the team, and we a lot of times had to walk home.
From the high school?
Yeah.
So you walk across the tracks to...
Well, we had to walk across them to get,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Did you go over that overpass there, or did you walk just across the tracks?
Yeah, well, we walked. It was, well, you know, where the trains were.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so.
And I know the high school was on one side of them, and Willamette City's on the other side.
So, but we generally walked down the road,
Mm-hmm.
and then we'd have to go over now, I guess, they won't let anybody go over.
Across the tracks?
Yeah, if they catch them, well, it's fine, but back then.
Well, even when I was a kid, we'd cross over, well, we'd do more than that. We'd go over down near the overpass where all the boxcars were, and we'd go underneath the not the cars, but where they came together, where they were coupled.
Oh, yeah.
We'd go right under that.
Uh-huh.
There could have been an engine hooked up to them that normally wasn't.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have stopped us.
Oh, boy. Oh, boy. But we were living in Missouri when we moved out to Oregon.
About how old were you when you moved to Oregon?
10.
10?
Mm-hmm.
So it would have been about 1934?
1936.
Right, yeah, that's true.
And
Yeah, you said you left Missouri in 36,
mhm.
and you left Oklahoma City probably about 31, 32.
Well, when I was 5.
Yeah, but you've been 31.
Yeah, and then Bill was born in Missouri. Grandpa was the one that did the
Delivery?
mm-hmm.
Wow.
Grandpa.
Your grandpa or my grandpa?
My grandpa.
Okay. Wow.
And
So he delivered his own daughter.
mm-hmm. And his own son. I mean, his own grandson.
Right. But his daughter was the mother.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And anyway, he was 2 years old when we traveled. That was quite a...
Bill was 2 years old when you left
when we
Missouri.
moved. Mm-hmm.
So you went from there through Denver? Do you remember?
Let's see. Well, living from Missouri...
Yeah.
Well, we probably did because when we got to Oregon, we went through Sisters,
Okay.
and they didn't have the road they
Pass.
have now, but the one that's
The Mackenzie?
Mackenzie Pass,
Mhm.
and but Mama said, "Oh, snow, we gotta stop," and it was so dark. I mean, it was right in the lava beds.
Mm-hmm.
And so the snow wasn't white. So, but anyway, that was interesting. But she really, when we got down and we're coming up to Oak Ridge, she says, "Oh, this beautiful, beautiful." She loved, well, it is beautiful, that drive up there.
It is.
What was it, 6 to what?
6 to 4, I think. Yeah, back to your wedding, Mom.
Uh-huh. Oh, my wedding.
Yeah, who all was there?
Well, I guess just I don't know if Norman was there. He was in the Navy. But there had to have been a couple people with us. I can't remember. But it's been 60-some years.
Well, you were married in 1944, so it'd be 63 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
This coming August.
Right.
August 3rd, 1944.
Right. And, of course, then we came back on the train.
So how'd you feel? Were you nervous? Scared?
No. You know, when you're 18, you think you know everything.
You didn't?
I didn't. As a matter of fact, I was pretty naive, I tell you. Oh, boy.
So you'd known him for a few years in school.
Mm-hmm. Well, he lived up there at Camp 3, too.
Mm-hmm.
But, we got snowed in. I think about 5 foot of snow up there. And we were living in two tents put together. I think it was 2. Well, anyway, they were boarded up, on account of snow. If we didn't, and but anyway, I didn't go to school for 2 months. But they had sent Norman or Larry and his brother down to Oak Ridge so that they could go to school, but they had to board out. But
so Camp 3 was where you moved in 36 when you first got to Oregon?
Mm-hmm. Well, Uncle Pryor, Paul, let's see, what was his
Ross
name?
Pryor.
Huh?
Ross Pryor.
Ross Pryor. They lived there. Uncle Claudie and Aunt Ellen lived there.
So they moved there before your dad did?
Yeah.
About how much longer earlier do you think?
Well, probably not 2, because when her boy, about the same age as Bill, they were still in Missouri, I think, and then they had gone.
Okay.
And that's
so there was kind of brothers and sisters all moving to Oregon there
Right.
for a while,
Uh-huh.
and it's because of the Depression.
Mm-hmm. So, well, you went where the work was.
Mm-hmm. But so there were logging jobs there in Oregon, and the word got down to
Yeah.
people in Missouri.
Mm-hmm. So I think Dad just after we moved down, I think he just went up, drove up there. It was probably about maybe 10 miles, I think, up there. At least.
10 miles from Oak Ridge up to the camp.
Yeah. Because, he had his job up there.
So you guys lived in Willamette City at first, and
No, we went straight to
Camp 3.
Camp 3.
And there were cabins there.
Oh, yeah.
So they
Everybody had
built
a cabin but
They built
us.
cabins for the workers. The
Yeah.
company did,
Mm-hmm.
and you didn't have one.
No, but we had this. Well, might have been just so long, but it was good, and we were comfortable in there.
Tent.
And of course, we had a wood stove.
It was a tent.
Huh?
A tent.
In the tent, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And well, anyway, at one time, Mama came down because I guess by then, while we were still on, they moved down, I think. And anyway, Mama went down to help Aunt Mary and take care of the baby while she was, And
They moved down to town.
I think so.
Okay. I'm just trying to keep straight where down is.
Well, that would be Oak Ridge.
Okay.
And anyway, I remember their cow. They wanted their cow. So Paul and I brought that cow all the way down 10 miles. So I had, one thing of tack in my shoe. It was kind of bothering by the time we got there. But we got that cow down there. And but anyway, Mom was down there. I cooked for Daddy, and I didn't know how to make gravy, so I went over and Aunt Ellen told me how to do it. So, and anyway, he didn't fuss about what I cooked. Oh boy!
So you're 10 years old and you're living in a tent
Uh-huh.
at Camp 3.
Right.
How long were you in the tent?
I think it must have been over a year. And of course, during that winter, Dad they made somebody was making skis, and so I got skis. Of course, built. And I'd go around but anyway, there was so many logs and everything, and if you were walking, your foot would go clean down, because, but I could do pretty good with.
Mm-hmm.
Oh boy! And then, I used to make from pieces of wood and stuff. I'd make little cars.
Mm-hmm.
Bill thought they were. He was just a baby,
Mm-hmm.
Well, he's 2 years old,
Mm-hmm.
and and then I tried. Mama got me little dolls. I tried to make something for them. I was impatient then.
Oh, you've learned patience since then?
No, I'm still impatient. If not, stuff is not ready. But so anyway, but and then of course going to school and me with I'm Missouri hillbilly
Mm-hmm.
talk.
Now, where was the school?
Huh?
Where was the school? Was it in Oak Ridge?
Yeah.
Okay, so
When
was there a bus
when the
to
bus
take?
could go, I could go.
Okay. So-
And it was right where it is now, but of course they've had to rebuild it.
Mm-hmm.
And I was so dumb and so hillbilly. And of course, Mom would make, in Missouri where you have feed sacks and stuff, flour sacks,
Mm-hmm.
and she make me bloomers. Well, an active kid, when they have you're always doing something up on the bars or doing that. And I got the girls gave me a bad time about my bloomers. Well, they colored more than theirs.
Was that Lois and Audrey that gave you a rough time?
Audrey wasn't there yet. She didn't come until I think I think she said she was 12 or 13 when she came, and I first met her when she was trying to catch the bus when I was. Because she lived, and then I got him, to be friends with her. And then Ewans, that was a word down there in Mississippi or in Missouri. Ewans, how are you? Or stuff like that. And the first year, boy, I got really teased till I learned to speak.
Was Lois one of the ones teasing?
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. I find that hard to believe.
Well, and it tickled me when we were up there to see Audrey.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, you always said anything that came in your mind, you spoke it. That was Lois that did it.
Mm-hmm.
I never thought Audrey was, did like that.
Mm-hmm.
But
Lois accused her of it?
oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No, she just let it go over. She don't care what she said.
So, any memories of the tent?
The tent?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, it was easy going, I don't remember how we went to the bathroom, but I'm sure there was an outside toilet there. But
just a regular one entry through a tent flap.
mm-hmm.
And
I don't know. I think they fixed up a door.
okay, regular door on it.
Yeah, because they had to kind of board it up
Mm-hmm.
on account of, No, because boy, that was big snow.
Yeah, that would have been the winter of 36, 37.
Mm-hmm. Because we got there in July, and that was something. Boy, everything was so. You'd think it was really bad when you had gone back from this era to then. They didn't have any indoor, and the toilets were horrible. And then of course little bitty rooms that they.
So you were in the tent for about a year.
Mm-hmm.
Then did you get a cabin?
Daddy bought a house. There was a house on that 4-acre place.
4-acre place.
Well, it was down. Oh, you know where the tunnel is.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it wasn't too far from that.
Okay, I think last
year
we drove by.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the same people had it until I think this last year.
Okay. So probably in 37, your dad bought a house on 4 acres in Willamette City.
And I think it cost him either $200 or $400.
Wow.
I think it was $200 back then.
Was Lois living in town all the time?
Oh yeah, but she was down off the highway then.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think she was.
And then Audrey came a couple years later. Because you said she was 13.
Yeah.
So you rode a bus in Willamette City to school too?
Yeah. But we had to walk down to it.
On the highway.
But she was living quite close to us. And I went with her and her parents someplace to see one of their relatives. And when we got back, their house had burned clear down.
Lois's or Audrey's?
Audrey's house. And no, Lois wasn't with us. And Lois wasn't that much of a friend for us till they got grown.
On the volleyball team?
Well, that on that too, but not as much.
So Audrey was your best friend from the time you were 13?
Yeah. It's been that long. And, anyway, Lois was the one that, and so, I loaned her some of my clothes. And when she said, she made the snottiest remark about it. And we just gave her, I think we just glared at her. And then she found out that the house had burnt. She was a little bit embarrassed, I think. But she was always Lois has always been trying to put me down. But I don't let her.
Lois is Lois.
Oh, gosh, yes.
So when you were 11 years old, you were living in Willamette City. How long did you live there?
I lived there until 59 or something. Because I got married and we lived, we got married.
Well, but how long so you were still living there when you and Dad eloped? Okay, now, I thought you said your parents were in West Fir. Did you mean Willamette City?
They had moved. Yeah, they had moved before I got married, to West Fir.
Okay.
And anyway, I don't know how long it was after that they bought 5 acres down at
In Goshen.
And Larry and I were already married, but I stayed with them in West Fir because, he tried to get in the Navy, and they turned him down. They said something was wrong with his heart, And so we got married. And just before the first year, they drafted him. Didn't find nothing. And so, anyway, I moved in with Mama. We hadn't bought a place, we just had, but, you know, I think I sold the furniture. And so anyway, I stayed with her, Mama, until after the twins were born. He got to come home 5 days afterwards. And, oh golly, they'd given me so much, I lost so much blood. They were giving me that stuff, you know, to replace it. Mm-hmm. And I got the chills. I was shaking so bad, it was terrible. And it was trying to warm me up. And they finally got electric blanket or stuff to warm me up. Oh, that's horrible. Mm-hmm. And he didn't get to stay too long. When I got out, I had to be in there 10 days. And when, I had to go back.
That was in Eugene. You were at Sacred Heart, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so anyway.
Still trying to get your home straight here.
Yeah.
You.
Well, I had to stay there. Well, I took the twins, and Guy Larry's dad went down with me so he could help me with the twins, and stayed with Larry down there. Well, before the twins were born, I went down
to San Diego.
Yeah, no, that. Yeah, I guess where he's having his
basic training.
Yeah, and so then, of course, I came. He came with me when we went home. I went back to Mom's, and anyway, the trains. I mean, everything was wicker. Well, they weren't so old, but they had to get everything in there to get all the soldiers around. And there's a lot of soldiers on there. And but anyway, then when we got stopped in, let's see, what is that name? Some down place close to the coast, the border, and didn't get out of there for a while. And then when we got to Eugene, we couldn't go anymore because of some stuff out. And Norman and Beth were us, and they had Judy. So between us, we had 3 babies. And we ran out of money, all that waiting and everything, and we needed stuff for the babies. And Norman says, well, I've got a 5th that's never been opened. Well, I says, I think I know a woman that'll buy it. You know, would I do that now? Anyway.
Desperation.
So anyway, I think we're in the bathroom or something, and I told her about it, and she says, "You're sure it's not been opened?" I says, "No." I think she gave me $5 for it, and that sure helped. Because when we were, it was for the babies. And, of course, we had to get, you know, then they didn't have they might have had something, I don't know, for their diapers. But anyway, we were walking in Eugene, and we went by the cannery, and outside there was this bucket of big carrots. We all grabbed a boy, that was like ambrosia. We were so hungry.
Yeah. I know when I'm dieting, it's amazing what tastes good that I wouldn't touch otherwise.
Oh boy! And finally, we couldn't get. Finally we were able to get through, and so It was good.
Still trying to get to your home straight, though.
My what?
Your homes. Your parents lived in Willamette City from 1937 until, what, 44, 43? And they moved to West Fir?
Probably.
Did you move with them?
Oh, yes.
Okay, so you lived in West Fir for a time.
Yeah.
About how long, do you remember?
Well, let's see. It was... Let's see. Well, we got married in 19... I was... Well, that was right after I... I think I graduated already.
Which would have been May or June.
Yeah,
So it wasn't very long.
before they moved.
Yeah. And
And
you
then-
didn't live in West Fair very long.
Mm-mm.
Okay.
And
And then after high school, you started working at for the train?
I was working when I was working part-time I think all of my senior year.
Okay.
And anyway, I worked. But they must have, after I graduated, they must have moved in. And that was in 44. And I was married in 44. Had the babies in 45, and 46, 47, 48,
8, 50.
and 50. And, anyway, when Larry was coming home out of the service, I went and rented a place in Oak Ridge.
What, did he get out in 45 right after the war? Did he get out in 45 right after the war ended?
46, I think.
Okay.
He was in there 17 months. And anyway, the twins, were... But anyway, I'd been down there, until I'd come back, I think.
The time with Norman and Beth?
Yeah. And anyway, the twins were, I don't know. Anyway, before I got back, I was already pregnant again. Barely. And
So you lived with your mom and dad then in West Fir?
when I came back,
Mm-hmm.
Well, probably stayed with them a little bit, and then I rented that house over in
Oak Ridge?
Oak Ridge. And anyway, I remember the twins, we were out, it was warm, and we were playing on the yard, on the lawn, and I was getting a little bigger, and they would, they were rolling over my stomach. They were all so much fun.
When did you build a house there in Oak Ridge?
Well, that was after,
Kay was born?
after Larry, we stayed there, I don't know how many, not too long, and then we built the house.
Mm-hmm.
I helped him with the foundation because even back then he liked to work with cement.
Mm-hmm.
And Daddy gave us a lot of input.
Mm-hmm.
And I can remember I was pretty big. And
So it
bills came up.
It was before I was born. So in 46 you built that house.
Wait a second, I think you were born. I think you were just a baby. Or maybe I was carrying you, I don't know.
I'm
But out?
out of film it looks like.
Okay. But anyway,
think you were telling me about you came back from California, barely pregnant with Kay, and Dad got out of the Navy in 46. And did he get out of the Navy before Kay was born?
Yeah.
Okay, so she was born July the 10th in 46. And he got out of the Navy that summer?
Well, because he took me down to the hospital.
In Eugene.
So he was there when she was born.
Okay. And when he got out of the Navy, he lived with you in the rented house.
Yeah, in the rented house.
Okay. And then after she was born, you guys, probably that was when you were pregnant with me, you probably built the house there in Oak Ridge.
Yeah, I think that's, And anyway, when he wanted to get out, he had to sign papers because they found something wrong with his heart.
Isn't that convenient?
Yeah.
Found something wrong with his heart when they didn't want him, and it disappeared when they did want him.
But they made him, boy, he was ready to get out. So he's, but I got a letter every day, and sometimes 3 in a day, and I never dreamed that he would be would do that. But I loved it.
You first met him when you were 10 years old, Camp 3. He was already there. You know when they had come down to Camp 3?
I don't know, just probably not far after we did. I don't know.
Before you did.
Huh?
Not too long before you got there, right?
Because, yeah.
Because they had a cabin, right?
Yeah, oh yeah.
About how many people were there at Camp 3?
I don't know, but they had a commissary. They had, well, see, he was I think he engineered for the business on the railroad.
Does this work?
Huh? Oh, it was up here. And
He was an apprentice on the railroad?
well, yeah, it had to come up and down with the guy's dad, Larry's dad. And I wish you could have seen how it was. 'Cause, I mean, they almost had to pull them up from down below.
Oh, the logs?
Yeah. Oh boy. But Dad rode the speeder, checking for fires.
What's a speeder?
Well, it's just a little thing that's got a motor where he can run on the.
On the train tracks.
Yeah.
So they laid train tracks all over the mountain.
Well, yeah, all over where they were. And but
They did that just for the logging. They laid rail lines just for the logging.
I think so. Yeah.
Who was it? Was it a private company that was doing
I
this?
thought it was, and it might have been where they could take them someplace else. I don't know. I just knew that Dad
Got to ride the speeder.
Yeah, and then they have this great big trestle. And Mom and I go down on there, and there's a little creek out there, and we could get the best berries, blackberries, that were so good. And of course, Mama made she always made good pies and jelly and stuff.
Did your dad work for the Camp 3, the logging outfit, the whole time he was in Oak Ridge?
I don't know what the logging name was, but he worked for him.
Until they moved to Goshen?
I think we still worked for him.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he was a logger all that time, and then he moved to Goshen.
He didn't do any logging, but he worked
he had a
for
good
him.
job, yeah.
And then, of course, when they bought their land down at Goshen, he built that little, you remember, don't you? The little house behind. And lived in that, or when they came down, they stayed in that while he built the house. And then
Are you talking about the garage or that building that was further down in the lower spot of the land.
Yeah.
Mm.
Well, it was, and then right behind was the small one. And anyway, he went to work for GP at the
Plywood mill there in Springfield.
and
So your dad, my dad, lived at Camp 3 too, and his dad was an apprentice conductor or whatever with the
with
the train.
train, yeah.
And
I think I don't know, Uncle Al and what was her name?
Georgia?
Hmm?
Georgia?
Georgia, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They might have been there too. I don't know, because both families did a lot together.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I didn't remember them being there.
Well, Dad had a lot of uncles.
Yeah.
I mean, were all those uncles there? Because he had, 5, 6 uncles?
I think, he must have been down at Albany by then,
Yeah.
Al, and so was, he was, Jerry was the one that was at Salem, but see, his guy's mother lived in out of Salem, and
I know Dad was born in Salem.
for years, his uncle Marion had a grocery store in Westford.
Westford. I remember the one at Oak Ridge.
Uh-huh.
So Westford was really the bigger town back then, I guess.
Well, it was, that was where the business was.
Mm-hmm. That's where the sawmill was.
Yeah, I think. Mm-hmm. And but then the mountain.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so did Guy work there at Camp 3 for very long?
I don't know how long they worked. But anyway, I think they finally went and lived down in Westford for a while.
Westford.
Before they moved over.
To Oak Ridge.
Mm-hmm.
Did they move to Westford after you moved to Willamette City?
I'm not sure.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, we weren't too far from Uncle Ross and Aunt Mary. And, there was quite a bit of partying going on too. And I remember I was there, and then there was a bust up or something.
You were talking about a lot of partying going on.
Yeah.
I think it was Camp 3, and there was a bust
No,
up.
this not in Camp 3. This was when we were living in up there down. We called it Willamette City, but yeah. And anyway, well, when there's a lot of partying and drinking going on, there's always sometimes some. But anyway, I remember running home and and I don't remember when I got there but anyway.
What were you, 13, 14, 15? Just a teenager?
Just a teenager, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then later, I was 15, I think. And there was going to be a party, and they wanted me to take care of the boys, which was okay by me.
Bill and Jim.
Then they wanted to bring in Aunt Ellen's 2 boys, where they're, 4 boys is a little harder. And I didn't, I don't know, I think I said something, and Daddy, no, he didn't hit me, but he bawled me out. And of course, anything, if Daddy bawled me out, I was going to cry. I mean, Daddy never did that to me. But you know, I don't think they even went to the party. And they never asked me to. Of course, you know, I guess once in a while I said, well, I'll do it, you know, but I don't know. I was getting tired, I guess, of babysitting.
And they were the ones going to the parties?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And he wouldn't even let me date anybody. And there's a bunch of 3 C boys. Audrey and Lois were both having boyfriends. And Daddy said, absolutely not. So I didn't even think about it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if he didn't want me to, I wouldn't. And, anyway.
What do you remember about Dad in school?
In school?
Or Camp 3 or wherever?
Well, at school, he was a little tease. I mean, you know, little boys gave me a little bad time, you know. Oh, I don't think he did it, but there was another one, you know, that put his hand out and put his finger out of the fly. I tell you. Oh, boy. But what we rode in was a wooden bed on a truck, a pickup, or, you know, a truck. And we were, you know, we had wooden seats. And
that was the bus?
That was the bus.
So you're telling me about your school bus?
Oh, well, it was a pretty good sized truck with a big old wooden bed on it on the back, and we had wooden benches to sit on, and
So it was open air?
no, it was pretty well shut.
So kind of like a delivery van or something?
Well, only on a bed, on the
Mm-hmm.
on the bed of the truck,
Miley or something like that?
probably. But it did work, because there was only about maybe 5 of us up there. I know I was one, and then Norman and Larry, and then I know there was another boy. So I think about that was about
4 or 5 of you.
Mm-hmm.
So you knew him from the time you were 10 years old?
Right. He was a little brat. But he got better. But anyway, I've known him a long, long time. So anyway.
Yeah, that would have been 36, and he died in 87, so 41 years.
Mm-hmm. 43, wasn't it?
36.
We were married 43 years.
You're right. 53 years you knew him.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So how'd he propose?
I don't remember. I mean, we went together for a whole year.
So during your senior year you went together?
Uh-huh.
And
yeah.
And during that time he was watching his little sister too, or did that happen later?
Let's see. No, yeah, because all during, before with the war was on, in 41?
Mm-hmm.
And so anyway, when his mother went up to, it must have been up in Washington. I mean, wherever there was building ships.
Mm-hmm.
And she was up there working. And so it was, but that's why his senior year he didn't go to school, because he went to work, and between his dad and him, they took care of.
And Norman was in the Navy already?
Mm-hmm.
So...
Well, let's see. Well, he kind of got kicked out of the Navy because he never get up. I mean, he was living with his wife, and he missed too many times getting there. And so...
So when you went to live with or visit them in Olympia, Norman and Beth were living there, and he wasn't in the Navy anymore.
Well, he was in the Navy then.
Oh, okay.
But later.
Oh, okay.
And when
after the war was over?
No, the war wasn't over, but when he got out, they came down and lived on the property of his mother's.
Mm-hmm.
So, but anyway, yep, he was too. Neither one of them knew how to handle their money.
Beth or Norman?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And Norman, it took Norman a long time to really get matured. And but I remember when we were down in, I think we were in, seems like it might have been, I don't remember just where we were, but when his twins were born, we caught up with you.
Took them a long time to catch up.
Yeah, and that's, the twins are Jody and Joe.
Mm-hmm.
And he's still, I think, in Salem, Missouri. And he came become, I think, a pharmacist, not pharmacist, but anyway, something with a hospital. And but he's only been back. I know he's been back once, maybe twice.
Yeah, I don't remember him.
Mm-hmm.
I remember of him, but I don't remember him.
Well, he was up there, I think, when it was up above Salem. That when he came, and of course Brody. Now, what's her name? I call Jody.
Mm-hmm.
Jody. That's when she's come practically every year. And I know that Judy lives up in Alaska, and she came down with her, she has an RV, and that's when Norman was in pretty good shape.
Mm-hmm.
And but she hasn't come down again, I don't think.
Yeah, I've seen her once.
Yeah.
So Janet went to, during the war, she went to Washington to work in the shipyard.
Someplace up there to work in the, might have been Bremerton, I don't know. Mm-hmm. I can't, but I knew it was up north.
Was that 43, 42?
Well, let's see. Well, when we got married, she was back.
Mm-hmm. But you said Dad didn't go to class his senior year, so did she take off the summer before his senior year? Or?
Oh yeah, must have been. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And was
44.
that separation?
Huh?
Did she separate from Guy at that point, or was
not then? Just later.
Hmm.
But anywho, they cared for, and she is a wonderful person.
Mm-hmm.
And she keeps them track of everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And she could have been so spoiled when they divorced. Well, both of them were trying to do their best to get in. Well, do everything for them. Just so that, I don't know. But anyway, you couldn't spoil that woman.
Mm-hmm. No, she's a great one.
Oh, she is.
Do you remember when you and Dad started going together?
Yeah, I was working at the Roundhouse. Larry was a a machinist. He worked on the
Locomotives.
yeah, the ones that, they came down, because they always had to have extras to get that was before they have what is it? It's different than what they used to have.
Well, they have diesel now.
Yeah.
Was it steam back then?
Well, they weren't so, yeah, I guess so, because, you had to feed them.
Mm-hmm.
And, but anyway, and I was working up, I worked up in the cab and filling stuff, and I did some outwork on them, but mostly, making sure the lanterns were clean and full, and then there were other places that I had to put fuel. So that's so long ago. But anyway, and my dog always, Stubby, always went with me, and the guys that were working out, they always had grease on they always had gloves on. And pick him up and put him in there. So he came home about as black as I was.
So that would have been between your junior and senior years of high school?
Yeah. I must have started maybe I started in the summer of when I was 7. No. Yeah, I must have. Well, anyway, I told you the first day was raking cinders. Whoa. One day of that was enough for me. So I went into the boss and I says, "Do you think you have a job for me inside?" Sure. So that's what they put me doing. And so anyway, the way it happened, Larry and his friend, last name was Hayes, he was working there. And I was with them, and I says, "Which one are you going to take me to the movie?" I didn't know I was so pushy. And his friend says, "Well, no, I got a girlfriend." And Larry says, "I'll take ya." And that was all it took.
So, did you know Hayes before that too?
Oh yeah, Bill Hayes. Yeah.
So you'd known them both for years.
I had known Hayes, but I admit I did know his girlfriend. And I don't know if I know. Well, I know because she went to school. I think she was a year behind me. And anyway, at one time we went down to the movies. It was Larry and I, and Peggy and Bill. Bill was driving, and another boy. I think we were 17 and he was only 16. And we got out of the movie. And went to the car, and the cops stopped. And we went to the jailhouse. We didn't get put in jail, but I guess there was a curfew or something. But when we got it was a little. And then, of course, we were older and just a 16-year-old. But anyway, finally I think they tried to scare us, and finally let us go. I don't think they even told our parents. Of course, they'd had to call them, because we're up in Eugene, and we were living in Oak Ridge, so. But, we had a lot of fun.
So, you started working at the Roundhouse, 17. And Dad was working there, and he kept working there all through his senior year. Yeah, wasn't able to go to classes, so he didn't graduate. And you went to school and didn't work there anymore.
I did work.
Oh, did you?
Yeah,
Weekends, evenings?
probably. I know I was still working, and but anyway,
So you saw him every day?
practically. It must have been in the because it was a whole year, but we didn't get married until August.
Mm-hmm.
So it must have been probably in the fall when I went to work.
Mm-hmm.
So, because I worked quite a bit. And when we got married, I'd save $300.
Wow.
Yeah, we weren't making very much money. He was making $1.25, I think, and I was making about 50 cents, I think.
A day?
No, hour.
An hour?
Yeah. And so anyway, I know he came when I graduated. He came, to see me. I mean, Anyway, I was the one that was a valedictorian, and a couple of gals later said something to me. Well, you weren't dating, and we were. That's why you got. I don't think she even knew I was dating Larry. And anyway, and then my mother says, "You were valedictory. What was wrong? How about those other people?" She was always scared I was going to, because I had so many honors at school.
Mm-hmm.
She thought I was going to get a big head, and she wasn't going to have that. Because the only time, once I was went up to visit one of the gals that was in school with me, and I know she sassed her mother, and I thought, And anyway, when we went home, I sassed Mother. Your friend might have sassed her mother, but you are not sassing me. Yes, Mother? I think that's the only time she ever slapped me. I know she spanked me. And
sure you deserve
I
it.
knew every time she spanked me, that was when I was younger, that I knew I was out of line. Oh, boy. But she was a great mother. And Dad was wonderful. I always thought I was blessed. Not everybody's blessed like that. Yeah.
My dad sure had a tougher time of it.
Beg your pardon?
Say Dad sure had a tougher time of it with his parents divorcing and all.
Oh, yeah.
And the guy had a drinking problem too, didn't he?
Yeah. Oh, I was so glad when he quit. I was so glad.
When Guy quit drinking?
Huh?
When Guy quit drinking?
Oh, I don't think he ever did, but
Okay.
Larry did.
Yeah.
But, I probably already told you about the time when Susan, we were up at,
Well, I remember it.
oh, you remember?
Yeah, the softball team had a picnic.
Yeah.
And we were in that old DeSoto.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't old, It's old now, but it was fairly new. Or maybe it was Plymouth.
I think it was a Plymouth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When she got burned in the fire and he...
Well, the thing they had tipped it over, and when she walked on it, down she went, and it was hot. And that one guy that I think ran anyway, you could pick up people and take them to hospital or stuff like that.
The ambulance.
Yeah. And he was going to drive, and boy, he was going to take, and Larry got, he was so drunk. And by golly, he got her in the car, and
He got all of us, because I think I was in the car too, Mom.
I thought was you in there?
You know,
When
I
he hit
either
that
remember it from the stories, but or I was running behind the car or
I
something.
think that's probably what. But when he hit that tree,
Yeah, he slid around and hit the tree. I remember
and
that.
I think she
distinctly.
fell out.
Mhm.
And boy, he sobered up fast. And but anyway, everything was okay. You know, nobody was hurt. You know, except but it didn't take too long for her to heal.
Mhm.
So,
So he stopped drinking then.
but not as bad. That's the worst I ever saw him.
Mhm.
And then, well, when we were first married, we were living down by that little river or creek or what you want to call it, Salmon Creek, was it? Anyway,
I didn't know you lived by Salmon Creek.
well, it was not too far from
The park.
yeah. And I don't think the houses are gone.
Well, Norman's or Beth's mother lived there. I remember that.
Mm-hmm.
So you lived close to where she ended up living.
No, this was when we first married.
I know, but the area there, if it's near Greenwaters Park,
Uh-huh.
is where Beth's mother lived.
Oh,
Her
okay.
name was Snyder or something like that.
Uh-huh. Well, anyway, we were having a little get-together, and Larry, of course, every time he drank, he'd get sick.
Mm-hmm.
And I was holding his head and babying him, and Norman, he stormed and says, you shouldn't be doing that. Well, he's my husband.
Mm-hmm.
I'll do what I want.
Mm-hmm.
But he thought it was awful that because I was babying him. But, of course, Larry liked it.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, I think it was after we were working. Well, he didn't do too much of it. I don't think when we were in Springfield. Not much. I mean, did
What?
maybe some.
Yeah, but I thought you got into it one night he'd go to the Oasis after work, you know, that little bar there in downtown Oak Ridge.
Oh, uh-huh.
And the story I remember is
Oh,
you
yeah.
had enough one night.
Yeah.
Mm.
Oh, yeah. I remember that very good. And it was a Plymouth. And I drove up and went in. And, anyway, he was getting a bar bills. And anyway, I said something to him, and he knew I was mad, and I just went out in the car and left him. And I decided we were going to leave, and here he came, and he says, "You're not going." I says, "Yes, I am. You're not taking the kids." And Kay said, "I want to stay with Daddy." And so, okay, I wouldn't go anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
I was kind of glad after that. I didn't want to go to Mama's and have them. I didn't want to do that at all, but anyway, after that, I think, was when we went, not too long. I don't know when, was it 58 that we went to?
Might have been 59.
Maybe, okay, well, anyway, we went down to Springfield.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he did much.
No, I thought it had, you know, and this is only looking back, but I thought it must have ended in Oak Ridge.
Mm-hmm.
And after you had it out with him in the tavern, or
Mhm.
after you had a fight
Right.
with him, or something.
But he was still, beer.
Yeah, but I mean, he stopped drinking alcohol because it gave him such a bad headache. But I think he cut back and didn't overdrink.
Well,
you
but
know.
when he drank, then it was my fault
Mhm.
because what I fed him.
Mhm.
I said, I ate the very same thing you did. I'm not sick.
Mhm.
And but then when we were off, moving, and he'd generally have a thing like a party, but that would be for when he gave out rewards and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And but he would, because there was always drinks that the guy could,
Mm-hmm.
but he would bring me a drink, and he would give him a glass where it looked like he was
Mm-hmm.
drinking, but he wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, I'd nurse it the whole night. I didn't. Well, I got the last time that I got to drink, I had, I think, 3 drinks. We'd stopped at people, and then we were up there at one of those places you can eat and they dance. And so anyway, of course, he wasn't. I mean, well, he'd had some drinks, but he could hold them. I couldn't. And so I says, well, let's dance. I was sitting inside. He got out, and I got out, and he says, go drink, go dance by yourself. I don't know what. I think I told a bad word. And walked out, got in the car, and said, we watched you, and you backed up. I went real slow all the way, and I asked the gal that was watching you guys, I said, do you think you can get home by yourself? Oh, yes, it's just, And I got in that bed, and it was going, and I said, oh, boy, I don't like this.
That was in Oak Ridge or Springfield?
That was Oak Ridge.
Mm-hmm.
And, well, the only other time that I got a little crazy, well, I already told you about that. When we went to, moved to, well, it had been the first, no, it was Ruston.
Mm-hmm.
And, the people, the boys, they had the boys.
And Ruston, McPherson's?
Huh?
McPherson's?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then his sister and her husband were there. We played cards. There was another couple. I think there was 4 of us, 4 couples. And we were playing, I don't know, with a bridge, or I don't remember what games we were playing, but they were making those nogs. What do you call them?
Logs?
Huh?
You said logs?
Nog, N-O-G.
Oh, eggnogs.
Eggnog.
Mm-hmm.
And they were, I didn't know they were putting way too much in. And I got to giggling. And Larry says, let's go home. I says, oh, I ain't having fun. No, we're going home.
Mm.
And then when he got out in the car, those women were making a fool out of you. And I said, oh. Because they always thought, you're so pure, making stuff like that. Because I don't smoke.
Mm.
But they were having they were having fun too. But I thought it was fun too.
Mm-hmm.
I was laughing and carrying on.
Mm.
Oh, gosh. Oh, what fools we are.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, that. But then of course, at the end, there was when we'd get together when it wasn't, and it was gimlets, and I thought those were pretty good, but I wasn't overdoing it.
Mm-hmm.
But when I was working in the house, and I thought, ooh, I'd like to have a gimlet. That's when I says, Pearl, that's it.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to drink again. Well, I didn't, except, when Larry bring me one, but I wouldn't even drink 2. I was 1.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Didn't want it to taste too good, huh?
Yeah, I don't want to get the giggling and carrying on like a fool. I'm enough of a fool already with my laughing and carrying on when I'm not even.
Yeah, that's not foolish. keep trying to get it straight in my head. Where you've lived. I've got it that you lived Camp 3 for a year, and then you moved to Willamette City and lived there.
For till 59, or?
Well, no, in Willamette City, it was 43, I think, or 44. Your parents moved right after your senior year. They moved from Willamette City to Goshen.
Right. And then from...
No, they moved to West Fur.
Right.
And they must have lived there only a short time.
Right. And then we moved down to Springfield, and then we went to LeGrand.
Yeah, but you're dropping some things out because you got an apartment somewhere while Dad was in the Navy in San Diego.
Oh, okay. You remember? Okay. Okay.
So you got married. You came back and lived with your parents for a while.
Mm-hmm. And then when the kids...
And then he got drafted and went off to San Diego.
Mm-hmm.
So you had an apartment when you came back. I mean, it sounds like you went down to San Diego and stayed with him for a while.
Right, before the babies were born.
Mm-hmm.
I mean...
but then after they were born, you went down and stayed with him some more.
Yeah, after the... Yeah. And that was... What was the name of it? It was San Diego for the thing, but we were other place.
Camp Pendleton?
Huh?
Camp Pendleton?
No, it was down in California.
Mm-hmm.
No, what is it? I can't remember the name of the place.
Mm.
But I know we had to go across the bay.
Catalina?
No, not Catalina.
Mm.
I'll have to look.
Across the bay in San Francisco? Oakland?
Well, there's the bay. But there must have been another town.
Mm.
But because when the twins were... That's when we went down there. And we had the twins,
Mm-hmm.
and there were babies,
Mm-hmm.
and we took them and went on the boat. I wish I could remember the name of that place.
Mm.
And of course, we didn't have a hat on, none of us.
Mm-hmm.
And Carol got suns, and there was little blisters. And of course, the Navy had given me a book on raising your babies.
Mm-hmm.
And so, anyway, I fixed up a thing with soda and water and put it on there. I gotta kill that baby. And, oh boy, I was scared. But you got okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
And
when you came back, you stayed with your parents for a little while, but you rented an apartment, you and the two girls. I think you told me that yesterday.
yeah, well, I went to Mama's, and then I got must have used Dad's car, or he probably went with me when I moved in.
Mm-hmm.
And anyway, when Larry came home, we lived there for a while, and then I had Kay, and we were still in the...
You had Kay before he was out of the Navy. You told me that yesterday. Because you remember playing with the twins and they were crawling over your belly. Mm.
But, let's see. Well, there was only, a little over a year between them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then, where was this place in Salmon Creek, and how long did you live there?
Just, from 3rd of August to...
So that was the apartment that you were staying in? Was it Salmon Creek?
Yeah.
Okay.
And
then Dad got out of the Navy. He lived there with you for a while, and then you built the place near the high school.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But when... But the babies weren't born until 10th of July. And he got out, I think, in May or something like that. And so we were still in there when she was born. I know I went down at first, you know, and I had, I was having cramps, but it wasn't, it was false labor. And then when we did go down there, I think we got there at 12 o'clock. And for 3 solid hours, I was in just horrible pain. And so by 3 o'clock, she was born.
Yeah. Well, that's Kay.
Huh?
You know, Kay would cause you some pain.
Oh, it was awful. But then...
I was probably easy.
You were the easiest.
Yeah.
Okay. See? Well, see, we got in the house before you were born, and anyway, Larry was working at the roundhouse? Must have been because he was working, or it might have been
Polk and Talbot.
Yeah, because I think it was still. Anyway, I didn't have a phone, but I was thinking I'd wait until 7 till he got home. But got over there and called, and I'll be right there, you know, Larry. And anyway, by the time we got over to the what was clinic, I guess you call it, over in Westford, he opened there was door open, and he got me in and then set me on the bed. I've got to find that doctor, and found the doctor. The doctor came in and shook my hand and says, "I'm Dr. Woodward. Next pain, get up on the table." And I did, and it's you came fast.
Yeah.
I mean, if I'd waited till 7 o'clock, I would have been having you at home.
So I was born, 4 or 5 o'clock in the evening?
No, it was in the morning.
In the morning. Oh, Dad was working nights.
Yeah, I think, yeah.
And the pain started at 3 o'clock in the morning?
No, I just woke up. Probably about 5. Maybe a little. Anyway, I had some blood. And I thought, uh-oh. And then when I started getting, getting pain, so that's, when I finally called. But boy, you came fast. And then when David...
You mean Alan.
Alan. It was about the same way. I had a spot of blood. And I just went on. And, maybe Larry was there. Anyway, he was born pretty fast. And then when when Marty, same thing, and I went. I wasn't having any pain, but I went. And the nurse tried to send me home. And I says, "No, I'm not going home." And so finally when she did call him, and he says, I was going on 2 wheels, getting there. Like his car was going like that. And he bawled her out good. And it made me so happy. Because she thought she knew. He says, "Well, I knew this woman. This is the 3rd kid."
Third one he delivered.
Yeah. And then he said, "Mrs. Shorey, nothing's working for you. I think you better get your tubes tied." So that's what happened.
Yeah, who knows how many brothers and sisters I've had.
Probably 6 more.
Yeah.
Oh.
It seems to me I remember when we had a phone installed there in Oak Ridge.
Uh-huh.
So I must have been 4 or 5 at least to remember it.
Probably.
Must have been a long time without a phone.
Yeah.
It was Riverside 7 something was the number.
But anyway, one of the boys that we'd watched play football, and when he was 19, his mother, when he was born, she had her tubes tied. Lo and behold, he was 19, as I understand it, when she had a baby, and she had the same thing I had. So every year I thought, well, it's going to happen to me. It's going to happen to me. But
It's
anyway,
got you very white.
I am.
Yeah. And you look like Grandma too. But
I know I do.
yeah, but you're not that white and real. It's just the.
Uh-huh.
I think I'll change the angle here. As I put that red and blue pillow behind you.
Okay. Maybe that'll work better.
Oh well. So we moved to Springfield. I figured it had to be sometime during the summer of '59, because I started the 4th grade, and it would have been 4th grade, I think, in '59.
Mm-hmm.
And then we lived there until '64.
And that's when we went
To LeGrand.
LeGrand.
It was March.
Yeah.
64.
And then we lived there a while.
Check these drapes. Only lived there for a little over a year, 15 months or so.
About a year, I think.
Because
But
we
then-
moved in June
Yeah, but
of
then we,
'66.
is that better?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Because I know what was going on, all the foremen decided they were all going to quit.
Quit in LeGrand?
Mm-hmm. And I think the one that got it up, everybody quit except him. And but anyway, that's when we went.
When we went to Ruskin.
Yeah. But he was working. He wasn't working in there, and it was a new outfit. Well, that's where you worked on the roof.
Mm-hmm. Well, I didn't work on the roof much. Went up there one time. Once they got the plywood up, I was fine up there.
Right.
But walking those beams wasn't something.
Oh golly, if I'd known that, it scared me. But anyway, we must have been there. Well, you
Got there in '65. Would have been June '65 because Marty turned 15, almost right after we got there, and got his driver's license. And Marty's birthday is June 14th, so that was '65. And then you left in '67.
and you were in college,
Mm-hmm.
and Alan was finishing college.
He was finishing high school.
High school, yeah. And Marty, when we went to Gloucester, he was a senior.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when he seniors that year. And then we were there, 71, I think. Maybe, no, it's a little longer than that, 73. That's when we went to California.
Left GP and went with Louisiana Pacific. That was after they broke Georgia Pacific up.
No, after his, he was a manager, but his superintendent was putting a knife in his back every time he turned around.
Was that Ed Works?
Huh?
Was that Ed Works?
No,
Hmm.
it was another guy.
Hmm.
And when Larry, a new guy had got to be over them instead of Art West. By the way, we went to Art West where he retired.
Mm-hmm.
And anyway, I got to dance with him. But anyway, this other guy was, anyway, he says, no, we don't want to fire him. We'll just come up, we'll have a drink, and we'll talk about it. And Larry says, it's blinking.
Yeah, it's running out of tape.
Okay. Anyway, Larry says, well, I've given you, well, he gave me his thing that he was quitting,
It's
gave him
notice.
2 weeks,
Mm-hmm.
and the guy came down then and said, well, I've been looking to it, and he is an SOB, he says, firing. Larry says, I'm not firing, I'm out of here.
Fire his superintendent?
Yeah, Larry was supposed to fire him
Oh, okay.
instead of him.
Mm-hmm.
And so, anyway, we went to, that's when we went to California, down to, not can you think of the name?
Wasn't Eureka, which was close by.
Yeah.
It was some
Samoa.
Samoa, yeah.
And it was just on a peninsula.
Mm-hmm.
And that was I love fishing for salmon out in the ocean.
Mm-hmm.
And
Dad apparently liked it too.
uh-huh. Oh yes, he loved it.
Mm-hmm.
And of course we could, he could come home. We could get take just a short time and get to where we put in
Mm-hmm.
on the bayside, and then go across the bar. Oh, that was wonderful.
How long were you there, Mom?
We were only there about a year.
You
And
know?
that's when we come, you were home, you were back out of Korea, and we're in Austin, Texas.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when, well, I think Kay was there, wasn't she?
Not in Austin.
Oh, but Marty was living in Texas. And, yeah, he was in Texas, yeah. And we went to visit you guys. And, anyway, Don Foster called and wanted Marty to come back and work there. And
He was in Huntsville, right?
yeah, and then he says, Dad's here. Well, I want to speak to him. And he wanted Larry to go. And he told him no. And then I was outside, I guess, with the kids, and I guess one of you kids said, well, Dad, Mom would like to go. And so on the way home, he says, would you really like to go back? And I says, well, honey, now, wherever you are is okay with me. And a couple weeks later, he says, I've got to thinking, I think this mill is going to be shut down. And he says, I think I will call him. And he did. And so away we went. Again.
And where did you go that time?
Seems like it was not let's see, seems like it was
Taylorsville.
Huh?
It was Taylorsville, right? Or not?
It might have been Taylorsville.
Or Talladega. One of those. I mean, I'm
no,
getting...
it wasn't Talladega. It must have been Talladega.
Taylorsville.
Yeah, Taylorsville. Because we were there with that, and we had that farm.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe, because I know before we left Gloucester, the Pews, not Pews, Poes,
Mm-hmm.
they were there, and they were the one that had a trailer, and so we sold our house and bought that, and it was already on, I think, an acre or something, and so when we came back, we had the trailer there, and so we took it over. Well, I guess that's where we put it up on the hill at Taylorsville.
Mm-hmm.
And, yeah, that's the way it worked. And from there, we went to Talladega.
Okay.
And then we came back, and we're going to be at the one on it was in Louisiana on the border.
Logansport.
Yeah. And